I saw something funny here in the chat. So he said,
Oh, okay.
with worldwide adoption, I guarantee you that less than 0.00001% of the population will run a full node. So I did the calculation quickly. If there's 8 billion people on Earth, if this was the percentage, so it'd be 0.0000001 times 8 billion. That's 800 nodes. Right now there's something like 100,000 nodes. So
25,000.
25,000 reachable.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
also
That's right.
unreachable,
That's
right?
right.
So there's already over 100,000 from what I know, and there's probably more that we don't know of. So that means that right now the percentage is already higher than what voluntarism is saying here. So
And that's going to improve. That's going to increase, right?
It's going to
Yeah.
increase.
Like as more and more people start holding their own Bitcoin, as more and more people start understanding Bitcoin, as green lights come on around the world, that is going to increase significantly from the 100,000 that Rajat said there, probably to 1 million, then 10 million, then 50 million. And like realistically, if they are concerned with the verifying those UTXOs, the privacy without exposing XPubs to other people, every business on this planet is going to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Every business on this planet is going to have its own team to manage their Bitcoin. So they will absolutely all be running their own nodes. And it's not a hard thing to do. You just need enough hard drive or space on your computer or your server. It's going to happen. We're just 16 years into this thing. We're 16 years AB after Bitcoin. So 25,000 or 100,000, either one, pretty
and
good.
it's going to keep getting cheaper, right? That's
Yeah,
the thing. It's going to keep
exactly.
getting cheaper because Bitcoin's the Bitcoin blockchain grows linearly while technology improves exponentially.
Yes.
So right now it costs you $100. Maybe in the future it'll cost you $75.
Yes.
Then it'll cost you $60 and $50. It'll get cheaper and cheaper.
Well, think about it. Think about how much it used to be for like a USB or like a floppy disk for like 5 megabytes.
Yeah.
And now we're talking like 4 terabytes. So as technology improves, there's more storage, it costs less. That's just how the world works. So yeah, I think we should I don't want to block this guy, but we need to spend less time talking about BCH. I guess it's important for people to understand though, right?
There's people who this actually gives value to, because there's probably people who are reading what he's saying and they're thinking maybe BCH is better than BTC and I'll sell my BTC and I'll buy BCH. But I think it's probably the worst decision that you can make. And we're talking about the reasons for that.
It's one of the worst decisions you could have made when the fork happened. The best decision you could have made was the exact opposite of that. Is sell your BCH that you got for free and buy more Bitcoin with it.
Yeah.
This is a great point from Cuddy. Once storage space increases on phones and you can easily run Node on your phones, Node runners will increase tenfold, 100%.
Yeah. Actually, let me share the chart for BCH to BTC just so that anybody who's even questioning it knows.
Yeah, I think that the other part there too, Rajat, is like people complain about the transaction speed, but we have other layers now. As I think it was Rajat that replied to that comment. We have layers now. So the whole value add for Bitcoin Cash, for Litecoin, for XRP, for all these other tokens has now been basically outdated by the fact that we can transact very instantaneously over Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this is
C90 just said, is that a meme coin chart? And yes, yes, it is.
This is a chart for BCH to BTC.
Yeah.
So at the high, you could buy 0.27 Bitcoin with 1 BCH.
Wow.
0.27 Bitcoin. We won't go with that. We'll go with the first price, the starting price. So the starting price was 0.15.
That thing never even thought about coming back to its all-time high.
It just keeps dying. It keeps dying more and more. Like it has 9 lives. It's like it comes back and then it dies again. Comes back, dies again. Comes back, dies again. Comes back, dies. It just keeps doing it over and over again.
Well, yeah, it can always keep dying, right? It can always go almost to zero.
It's brutal. Like it's actually sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I had some BCH myself. I had 2. And the only reason I think that there's a lot of people out there that hold like XRP, Litecoin, Solana for this same reason. I was like, well, if I can get 2 of these things and someday, even if it gets to like 10% of Bitcoin, I'm going to be laughing. But the thing is that I didn't understand Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So now I know that it'll never come close to being 10% of Bitcoin. So I traded that Bitcoin Cash for Bitcoin and obviously have won the deal.
Yeah.
Great decision.
And the other thing too is just showing a chart. Some people will just say that doesn't really prove anything. It does, because that is market adoption. The market has decided that one of these things is worth more than the other, drastically more, and that's what we move towards. And if you look at the technology of it as well, there's a lot more being built on Bitcoin for the future than on anything else, in my opinion.
I actually did an in-depth video on the importance of salability. So this chart shows you BCH's salability. Salability is basically it's basically the marketability of something as a form of money. So if we go back to the definition of salability, salability is the ability to be sold. So if over time your ability to sell BCH is decreasing, this is the definition, the ability to be sold. So over time, the marketability of BCH is decreasing. Even in terms of Bitcoin, it's falling very hard because the market has decided that BCH is not money.
Yeah, and these are protocols too. So when we talk about the network effect and how powerful the network effect is, the protocol of Bitcoin can be built on, and network means so much in that case. Where there's no competition, there's no internet 2, there's no HTTPS 2, there's just more protocol being built on top of these. These are not technologies like Facebook or Google or anything else that can see a competitor come up with a new technology. Protocols are very, very difficult to disrupt when they get entrenched, which we have already seen.
Yeah, and I think that one of the main things for me, anyways, is the amount of investment that's going into Bitcoin. So you could say that, like, with BlackRock coming into it, with the countries coming into it, you just have to think for a second here that all this capital is flowing into Bitcoin, but there's also going to be a bunch of investment into growing Bitcoin, because these interests. First thing they need to do is acquire Bitcoin, which is hard for them at this point. But the second thing is they're going to want this thing to succeed. If they have all this capital tied up in Bitcoin now, they're going to want Bitcoin to succeed. So there's going to be not only investment into buying Bitcoin, but building on top of Bitcoin, right? Because there's not investments into XRP and BCH and Litecoin. And so there's going to be no incentive. There's going to be a huge brain drain I see happening right now from the fiat system moving into Bitcoin. And it's not the case with any other altcoins, especially not something like Bitcoin Cash. So you need developers, you need funding, you need investment for this thing to stay relevant and secure, right? So that's kind of how I look at it too, is just like not the price, not the amount of people in it, but the actual the brain drain happening from the fiat system that used to kind of prop that system up. The brightest minds working in fiat are now moving over to Bitcoin. And the more minds we have in Bitcoin, the more intelligence we have in Bitcoin, the more we can stop things like quantum attacks, physical attacks, hash rate attacks, stuff like that. So you want investment into whatever you're holding right there. And BCH doesn't have any of that from my perspective anyways.
It also doesn't have the market cap that can actually handle any amounts of investment or holdings anyway. Like institutions are getting interested in Bitcoin partially because of the liquidity of the market and the value that is actually held there. So they can actually trade this market. They can buy, they can move, and they can have an exit if they ever need an exit without crashing the market, like some of these smaller cryptocurrencies that are pretending to compete against Bitcoin. Most of them don't pretend to compete against Bitcoin anymore, and there's a reason for that. Is because they have the same fate as Bitcoin Cash. They pretend to compete, or they try to compete against Ethereum, which doesn't compete against Bitcoin. It's a totally different concept at this point. So yeah, I don't know. I think we should maybe try to move on from this. It's a bit, the same old conversation with against Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion. But
yeah, let's go